Hey guys, welcome back. I actually been meaning to do this video the other day. It just recently crossed my mind again today, but I should have did it the other day. And I was feeling kind of sad thinking about this situation because the other day, you guys know that I currently work in Inglewood with my second practicum placement, where I'm getting my clinical hours to become a clinical psychologist. And I was in Inglewood and I was waiting on the bus. And there was this kid. He had to been probably about, I don't know, 7, 8. Here goes the wind. But he had to be about like 7 or 8 years old. African American kid. And he was out there waiting on the bus, seemingly anyway. He's waiting on the bus. Not the bus that I was waiting on. He was waiting on a different bus. But I saw him and he was wearing a wife beater, like a white tank top shirt, and some gym shorts and some tennis shoes. It looked kind of weird when I saw him. And I had been waiting on my bus for quite a minute when I was waiting. I was waiting, like waiting. There was other people out there waiting with me too. So I wasn't alone. It was like towards the end of the day. And his bus pulled up. Bus pulled up that I guess he was waiting for had pulled up. And then I hear a woman, African American woman, scream. She yelled, "Hurry up!" Like really loud, "Hurry up!" And so I saw the little boy run towards the bus. He grabbed the bag from her. And then the door closed. The woman stayed on the bus. He got the bag from her, and then he walked down the street, I guess towards his house. But at the moment that I saw that exchange, like it did something to me. It struck a nerve in me because I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is the hood. I'm in the hood. And I kind of put two and two together and realized that the bag that the little boy had got was a bag of food. It would look like it was some chicken, like it was in a box, and it was like grease, and it was something fried, and I assume it was chicken. And it was a sizable. Oh Lord, y'all! I hope you guys can hear me with the noise, but it was a sizable box of chicken that he had inside the bag. And I'm sitting here looking at the boy. When he grabbed the bag, he, started going really fast towards where he lived. He was walking really fast and kind of like almost running the speed he was going, but looked like he was really trying to get back home really fast. As a matter of fact, now that I remember, he wasn't wearing tennis shoes. He was wearing some flip-flops. I remember because I was like, dang, he gonna trip and fall. I remember that now. And he had on some socks with his flip-flops, and he was like really trying to get home with that bag of food. And like I said, I put two and two together and I realized, like, man, that's his mother. She was dressed in a uniform, like she was headed to work, probably in between jobs, because a lot of single mothers have more than one job. They have to do whatever it takes to make ends meet. So apparently she was leaving one job, going to another job. She was dressed in uniform, looked like she worked at a hospital somewhere, And I'm just like, wow, this is how I guess she was able to get food to her son, her children. And it couldn't have just been him, because it was, like I said, a sizable box of food inside that bag that he was carrying. And when he grabbed it, like he grabbed it real fast and he like hold it real tight, and he was like running. And like I said, the kid was young. He had to have been about 7 or 8 years old. And it just struck me because I'm like, wow, like this is how she has to get food to her children given that she doesn't have much time, she can't come home and cook for them. So this is the arrangement that they set up. And I don't know if the kid had a cell phone with him or not. I don't think he had a cell phone with him. All I saw that he was just waiting. He didn't have anything like on his arms. He just was wearing a white tank top. So his arms were out. He had on some gym shorts, the socks, and the flip-flops. And so I'm wondering, like, I thought to myself when I saw that exchange, I'm like, how did they arrange? I was just curious, because like I had never really seen something like that in particular before. I'm like, okay, so I wonder, did she call him and say, be at this particular stop at a certain time? And usually the good thing is about the bus system out here in LA is that they usually run on time. That's a good thing. A lot of people complain about, catching public transportation, but I mean, for the most part, they try to, like, the bus drivers usually try to stay on schedule. So I could imagine that this wasn't the first time that they had arranged this, that this happened, essentially. And hopefully you guys can hear me. I can't control the outside noise, but I'm pretty sure this was not the first time that this situation had happened, essentially, where she had arranged to meet her son to drop off a bag of food, for him to get and to take home to his siblings so that they can eat dinner, because it was around like dinner time. And when I saw that, y'all, I swear, like, when he took off running, like, kind of walking really fast towards his house, like, I was waiting on my bus, but my bus was kind of taking forever. So I don't know, like, instinctually, I started to walk in the same direction as he was going, But as I was going in that direction, I was just kind of, like, clearing my mind and thinking. I started to, like, cry. Like, tears began to fall from my eyes. Like, I couldn't help it, And I think that's the reason why I kind of turned away from where I was standing at the bus stop, because there's other people there. And I just wanted to kind of step away and walk and just take a breath and just think about what I just saw. Because I'm like, did I just see this? And my spirit told me, like, that is what happened. Like, I mean, if anybody was there watching, they saw, like, it was pretty obvious that what was happening. Like, she was on her way to her job or somewhere obviously important, the way she was dressed. And she didn't have much time to come home and cook, let alone get off the bus and take the food to the house. So she had her son meet her there, and she was like, hurry up. She yelled at him, like, hurry up. And he hurried up and ran up to the bus. When the door opened, he didn't go, like, to the main entrance of the bus where you go and you pay. He went, like, it was like the halfway opening, I guess, or the back exit entrance of the bus to grab the bag of food, and he just took off with it and was going home. And you can tell, like, it had to have been food, because you could see the grease, and, like, he was, I guess, excited to finally get some food. He was walking really fast, trying to hurry up and take the food back to his siblings. And like I said, it did something to me. Like, it touched me in a special way, because I'm just like, the struggle is real. That, and, like, me seeing that really opened my eyes. Not to say that my eyes weren't already open, but I mean, we get these constant reminders, when we're exposed to things like this. It's like, it reminds us the struggle is freaking real, y'all. And I felt so bad. Like, I felt sad at first, but I felt like I wanted to do something. Like, I wanted to, I don't know, follow the kid home, make sure he was okay, or just think of ways I can help more and give back to the African American community, because we're struggling. It's not that we're the only community that's struggling, but me being African American, like, I can definitely identify with situations like that, like, very closely. And, like, even just thinking about it today, because it crossed my mind. I was going to do the video the other day, but I actually was tired. And then it crossed my mind again today. I'm like, let me just do this video, because it really, like, hit home, y'all. And it made me feel so bad, because I'm just like, the way they handled the exchange, it was just like an everyday thing. Like, this ain't nothing new, Like, she always, tells me to meet her at the bus stop at this specific time, grab the food, and it's like, it's nothing. It was like perfect timing. I'm like, first of all, I kind of admired, like, the arrangement, like the strategic, of them being able to meet at a certain place and a time, and she dropped the food off for her son to get, at the bus stop. And then she don't get off the bus. She did not get off the bus. She just stood up, reached outside the bus and handed him the bag of food. And he hurried up, when she's like, hurry up. He hurried up and went to the door and grabbed the bag of food and just took off down the street. He was gone. Ain't no way I could catch that with him because the way he was gone. I'm just like, wow. Wow, the struggle is real. And this was just the other day. When I say the other day, I mean like 2-3 days ago. And I'm like, the struggle is real, y'all. And then that kind of reminded me of a situation that happened years ago in Jacksonville, Florida. This is where I'm from. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. And it reminded me of, there was this neglect case where this African-American mother, and the case was really big. It made the news and everything. But this African-American mother had a daughter about the same age as this little boy that I saw the other day. And she was gone from the house. I can't remember exactly the details, like why she was gone, where she was at. She could have been arrested. She could have been arrested, but it was a reason why she was gone for several weeks at a time. Like, I think the news has said that this lady was gone. Thank God he's leaving. That noise, y'all. But I think the news media has said that she was gone for at least 3 weeks away. Like the little girl was left inside an apartment by herself, 6-7 years old, very young, by herself to fend for herself. And somehow somebody found that she was there. And then the news media got involved. Of course, the law got involved. But I want to say this lady, her mother was in jail. She was away. There's a reason why she was away. And she left this girl, her daughter, to fend for herself inside this apartment. And basically, the news said that this girl was surviving. Like, she survived. Now, granted, when they found her, she was looking like emaciated. She was very skinny, bones were sticking out. Because the way she survived, and the story was so sad, y'all. Like, it kind of makes me sad just talking about it. But, like, the way this girl survived, she had climbed up on the counter in her kitchen and was just looking for any kind of food she can find. And she ended up getting a hold of some canned goods. And, when they say when the police got there, like, it was open canned goods, and some of the canned goods she wasn't able to open. She was scratching on the cans. It showed where she was actually trying to, like, open the cans with her bare hands. The kind of cans where you need a can opener to open the cans. She tried to open it with her bare hands. It was some food that she was actually able to get to, maybe like cereal, or the other kind of cans where you can just peel back the lid. But this girl wasn't able to really get a hold of any, like, good nutritional food. I mean, enough, I guess, for her to survive. She survived it. But it was just, hearing the story, it was sad. And I swear, y'all, life is just like the way God positions me in certain places at a certain time. I can't even explain it. To me, it amazes me the way God positions me. But it's like, before I heard that story, I had seen, no, was it before or after? Because this was many years ago, y'all. Let me get the story straight. I want to say it was, I can't even remember if it was before or after, but I had went to someone's house, not her mother's house, but someone who she knew. And this girl was with this person. And then I saw this story on the news. I'm trying to remember, was it before or after? But I saw this story on the news. I'm like, that's that girl. I'm like, I saw her. I'm trying to remember. It could have been after. So the situation happened where she was left alone. Then the news media covered. I saw it on the news. And I could have been after. Because when I saw the girl, she wasn't skinny. Like, she wasn't emaciated. She looked like a normal, 7-year-old girl, but it was shocking to me because I'm like, how the world is so small. Now, granted, this is in Jacksonville, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida is the largest city by land in the United States, but it's still kind of small by comparison to other major cities. And so, it's kind of like everybody knows it's like a small world, and I was hanging out with someone. No, it had to have been after. This had to have been, I think it was after. Yeah, because I was hanging out with somebody who knew her. Yep. Yeah, I think she was in their custody because this had to have been after. Had to have been after they found her. And I was hanging out with someone. But at the time, I know for sure that at the time that I was hanging out with the person who had her, had custody of her, who was taking care of her at the time, I had no clue that this happened to that girl. And then it came to me. I think they told me, or I saw it on the news, and I saw, the situation. I'm just like, this is the same girl. This girl didn't been through this. So literally, like, I was in the presence of a girl who had been neglected and went through this for 2-3 weeks, and she survived it. And y'all, it just blew my mind. But I mean, we see situations like this all the time. Like, I hate to say it, but it's not new and it's not uncommon. I know pretty sure some of you guys are watching this and listening, and you're like, okay, we see stuff like that all the time. Children are left alone to fend for themselves all the time, and no one knows about it. That's the sad thing about it. Like, no one knows about it. I remember my first full-time job when I got my bachelor's degree from Florida State back in 2006. I was very young, 22 years old. My first full-time job was working at a residential treatment facility where foster care kids were placed by the state. They didn't have family. They weren't in foster care. They just were in this temporary placement. And for some of them, it was more long-term because no family wanted them. That's how severe their mental illness was. And there was a kid, he's older now, he's grown, but there was a kid who was placed in the system of DCF because his mother abandoned him. And she abandoned him when he was like a newborn. Like, she had him, delivered him, and left him in a dumpster. Someone found him, obviously heard him crying, and then the state got a hold of him. And then from that time on, he had been in just different foster care placements, just circulating the foster care system. And by the time they reached a place where I had worked, this residential facility where the kids live, and it was a lockdown facility. So the kids, they were court-ordered to be there, and they couldn't just come and go. Like, it was very tight supervision. I worked directly with them as a residential counselor. But by the time that they got there, like, those kids were messed up. They were messed up, and I can make a whole nother video about, like, some of the symptoms, and clinical issues that they experienced. But it was bad, y'all. It was bad. That's all I can say. It was horrific, and granted, like, I was like, my first full-time experience, like, working in mental health. Now, prior to that, I had been doing different things in the field of mental health. I worked at psychiatric hospitals in Tallahassee, Florida, but that's a whole other thing. I'll talk to you guys later about my whole resume in mental health. But just to go back to the topic of this video, like, the struggle is real, y'all. And people don't know what people have been through, what they're going through, and it's just sad, That reminds me, even a friend I had back in high school when I was living in Jacksonville, Florida. I graduated from Jean Ribault Senior High School, or Jean Ribault, I think it's French. And I was friends with this girl who, we were tight, always hanging out, She would be at my house, I would go to her house. And I remember, like, I went to her house, and she would ask me, like, you hungry? You want something to eat or whatever? And, of course I'm hungry. Like, what teenager is not hungry? All teenagers are hungry. They have a huge appetite. I'm pretty sure parents can attest to this. And so she was like, yeah, just go in the refrigerator, get whatever you want. Whatever you want, you can get it, And I think I just got some, like, she was like, yeah, some juice in there. And y'all remember, like, the little cheap 50 cents juices or whatever, right? That you get from the corner store. Back then it were 50 cents. Now they probably like $1. But I opened her refrigerator, and I remember, like, the moment I opened her refrigerator, like, roaches just met me in her refrigerator. Like, it was a whole bunch of roaches just coming out. And I was just like, wow, you know. But she wasn't necessarily ashamed because this is the way that she had been living, you know. And I didn't judge her or nothing. And we were still friends, still tight, you know. We have a long history. You guys will learn more about the history, that the deeper history that actually that me and her share in my book called American Dreamer, my autobiography. But it's like you just never know what a person is going through. You never know what people are dealing with. You just never know. Even myself, you know, I can have my own shit boatload of stories that I can tell you guys, you know, things I've experienced, my own poverty story, so to speak. I remember when my mom left my dad when I was 12 years old and took me and my sister to stay with her mom, my grandmother, in St. Augustine, Florida. My grandmother's house, my mom's mom, the house was very old, you know. It was built way back when. Actually built, I think, by my grandfather, my grandmother's husband. And like I say, very old house, you know, and it had a tin roof. And I remember just, it was rats there, you know, it was rats. That's just the story. And I know my mom, she probably may see this video, or my sister, and they don't like me to talk about it. It's like a family secret, like, shh, don't tell nobody, you know. But I feel like that's the past. They don't live there now. That's the past, you know. We all got our stories, you know. So we need to stop acting like everything is just all peaches and cream and this, that, and the other. Like, we all have our stories, you know. But I get it. Some people may not want to reveal certain things, but I'm like, that's still my story. Like, just as much as it's their story, that's my story. So that's the only reason why I share it. And I remember, you know, like, I was 12 years old from the age of, from 12 to 16. I lived with my mom in St. Augustine, Florida. And then I moved back with my dad and I turned 16. But during those 4 years, it was like, it's crazy because it was rats, you know. And I remember just going to sleep at night, and being that it was a tin roof, you can hear like the rats scratching, like, ugh. I still remember, and the smell don't ever go away. The smell is crazy. And I remember like getting up in the morning. The bathroom, the tub was more like I think it was like made out of ivory, one of those like old fashioned kind of shape looking, fancy looking tubs. And it was like a dead rat in there, like almost every morning. I may be exaggerating, probably not every single morning, but enough for me to remember that it was a dead rat in the tub. And me being a female, I was scared to pick out the rat. Like, I didn't want to touch no freaking dead rat, plump ass freaking dead rat just laying in the tub. So I would bother my cousin to wake them up, male cousin, and they would go and get the rat out. But ew, just thinking about that, you know. And I have many, many more stories. You guys know, like, I had my own period where I struggled, even with a bachelor's degree. Like, back in 2008, 2009, I think it was. The struggle was definitely real. It was real. It was real. It was real. It was real. And, you know, I went through a period of homelessness, you know, with a bachelor's degree. And, you know, that's why you guys have to read my book, American Dreamer, because it's more to the story than what meets the eye, you guys. But I look at myself as a survivor. I don't look at myself like, oh, here's my story. Here, you know, woe is me, pity me. I don't need nobody to pity me or whatever. I feel like I'm very strong. I've survived a lot, you know, and I have a bright future ahead for myself. So, but during that time, you know, I was struggling. And I think what got me through was just knowing that, okay, what I'm capable of. Knowing that, okay, I got a bachelor's degree at the time. I think I had worked towards a master's degree, and you know, I had a lot of experience under my belt in the way of mental health, and just, I knew that I had a bright future, but I was going through a difficult time, you know, and part of that time was, you know, like I said, was homeless, and, you know, I've been a panhandler, you know, like, it's interesting because I'm sitting at this park right now in Hollywood where a lot of homeless people congregate, you know, and a lot of times people just see your outside, they don't know your story, but it's like I can identify with homeless people a lot because I was once one of them out there on the street asking people, you know, hey, you got $1, you got $5, you know, and I don't want to cry. I'm not going to cry. But, you know, I was one of those people who was out there, you know, asking for money just to survive, you know, just hell, $5 a day, if I could get $5 a day just to go and buy food, that was enough because there was McDonald's and McDonald's had the dollar menu.